Be discussing a poem by Mathew Arnold, Memorial Verses, which is prescribed in the syllabus of Allahabad University, semester 3. And the poem is an elegy by Victorian poet Mathew Arnold. So I will be discussing it stanza wise. So the poem Memorial Verses, which was written and published in 1850, just after the death of Wordsworth, is written by Victorian poet Mathew Arnold, whose another poem, Dover Beach, is also prescribed in the syllabus. So he published this poem in 1850, in which Wordsworth died. So it is a elegy, but on the commemorating the death of William Wordsworth. But he also talks about other two poets also, literary figures such as Goethe and Byron. So this poem is about Goethe, Byron, and Wordsworth and their relevance in the poets' contemporary society. Means Arnold has written the relevance of these poets, Wordsworth, Byron, and Goethe, in during Victorian age, but their relevance is still vital in today's world, also in our contemporary society as well. So, Goethe is described by the poet as the sage of all age who was aware of the ailment and problem of the European people. Arnold praises Byron not for his work but for his unusual spirit and his struggles. The poet uplifts the position of Wordsworth, and after his departure, he would be missed by Europeans because he he brought a revolution in the field of literature by writing simple poem based on nature and imagination. The poet emphasizes that Wordsworth possesses healing power and no one after him would teach people how to actually feel things. So, this healing power of Wordsworth is associated with nature. So, stanza 1 is like of 5 lines. This poem has irregular stanza. Some stanza are of 5 lines, some are more than 8, 10 lines. So the first is a 5 line. Goethe in Weimar sleep and Greece. Long since saw Byron's struggle cease, but one such death remained to come. The last poetic voice is dumb. We stand today by Wordsworth too. So uh, the first stanza, the poet says that Goethe is an eminent German literary figure who has already died and rested in peace in the city of Weimar, and Lord Byron had died too a long time ago in Greece. So these two poets are already dead, like Goethe and Byron. Uh, with with his departure from the world, his struggle also with their departure, like departure of Goethe and Byron, their struggle have also halted. Then he says that there is only one death which is yet to come. For example, Wordsworth. Wordsworth died in 1815, whose death is yet to come, and Arnold said that he is counting on for him to die soon because he was very old at that time. So, uh, and then he's saying that he will be standing near, when Wordsworth will die, he will be standing near the tomb of Wordsworth. Then, in second stanza, when Byron's eyes were shut in death, we bowed our head and held our breath. He taught us little, but our soul had felt him like the thunder roll. With shivering heart, the strife we saw of passion with eternal law, and yet with reverential awe, we watched the fount of fairy life, which served for that titanic strife. So, in the second stanza, he talks about Lord Byron, who is also a great poet belonging to Romantic age and who has already died, and people pay his respect and bow their head in his memories. Byron was a very big literary figure of his time. So, Byron is not respected for his work and teaching, but for his own heroic and unusual character. His character was very vibrant, dynamic. The poet compares him to the thunder rule. People witness his conflict of passion with eternal law or status quo with excitement and looked upon him with respect. So Byron was highly respected. Byron held no trust in society or government. They watch his beginning of passionate life, which led to the powerful conflict he had. So he had a very unusual life, though Byron is not so famous in the contemporary time, but he was very famous in his lifetime. Then the third is stanza is when Goethe death was told, we said, sung then is Europe sagest head, physician of the Iron Age. Goethe has done his pilgrimage. He took the suffering human race. He read each wound, each weakness clear, and struck his finger on the place and said, Thou ailest here and here. So the third stanza is about Goethe, the famous German fig poet. So in this stanza, Arnold praises Goethe and he has given him a title, Europe sage's head. Means of all the sages present in Europe, he is the head of all. He says that Goethe was the physician, means a doctor of the Iron Age. For example, Iron Age is considered a worse and wicked age. He has completed his pilgrim journey and he was aware of the suffering and problems of the human being, and like a physician, he can find the wound and weaknesses and tell the remedial measure. So he is praising Goethe for his writing, and his writing was like healing people. His writing is to heal people, and so he is considering Goethe as a not as a poet, but a poet who was like a doctor, a physician who used to heal people. Then the fourth stanza is he looked on Europe dying hard of fitful dream and feverish power. His eyes plunged down the weltering strife, the turmoil of expiring life. He said the end is everywhere and still has truth. Take refuge there, and he was happy if to know cause of thing and far below. His uh, feet to see the lurid flow of terror and insane distress and headlong fate be happiness. So, um, in the fourth stanza, Arnold continue his praises for Goethe, because in earlier in third stanza also he has praised Goethe, and now he is saying that he reckoned the Europe worst time, which has unsteady dream and hysterical power. So when Goethe, in his Goethe lifetime, Europe was seeing their worst days, uh, and it was Goethe who has healed many people through his writing. His vision saw the disturbance and uncertainty in human life. Goethe knew the end and advised the people to take refuge under the roof of art. So, there is a school of thought, art for art's sake. William Wordsworth and all the romantic poets believe in that. The same thing was for Goethe also. Goethe also believe in art for art's sake, means art for healing, art for enjoyment, kala sirf kala ke liye, in Hindi we can say that. So he healed people through his writing when Europe was seeing the worst time. So and he asks people to be inclined towards art of any kind. Creativity means to indulge in some kind of creativity. It can be writing poems or writing novels or painting, sculpture, doing sculpture or anything. So he knew the cause of thing and the solution of all these problem is to happy. So he through his writing he gave the advice to the people to be happy. Then stanza fifth, and that is, and Wordsworth, ah pale ghost rejoice, for never has such soothing voice been to your shadowy world conveyed, since erst at morn some wandering shade heard the clear song of Orpheus come through hates and the mournful gloom. Wordsworth has gone from us, and yea, may he feel his voice as well. We, he too, upon a wintry clime, had fallen on this iron time of doubt, dispute, distraction, fear. He found us when the age has bound our soul in its benumbing round. He spoke and loosed our heart in tears. Uh, he laid us as we lay at birth on the cool, flowery lap of earth. Smile broke from us, and we had ease. So this is a very big stanza. Means it has maximum line, means 5, 6, 17 line. This stanza is of 17 line, because and it is describing about Wordsworth. So at last he comes to his main subject. So uh, this elegy is mainly based on Wordsworth. So this is the fifth stanza in which he is emphasizing on Wordsworth, and this is a very big stanza of 17 line. So he has the he's focused in this stanza, in stanza fifth, he's focusing on Wordsworth. He has the ability, and he's saying that Wordsworth has the ability to make even the ghost filled with joy. Such was his kind of writing. Means Wordsworth, he's praising Wordsworth writing, that Wordsworth has written such beautifully and such with ease and healing powers, with simple words that even ghosts used to can be uh, rejoice after reading his. His message has a soothing and tranquilizing effect on the clear word. Means he had a very peaceful effect and soothing effect on the reader's mind. In the early morning, some ghost heard the song of Orpheus, who was on his journey to Hades. Hades means hell. Orpheus was a great Greek musician who went to Hades to get her dead wife back to life but failed. Both Orpheus and Wordsworth have left the world. Means this is also related. This here this poem has a Hellenic um, element, because it is based on Greek mythology. So both of Orpheus and Wordsworth have left the world. Their voice is missed by everyone. In this wintry means which is devoid of warmth, means cold uh, climate. When people need him the most, he has gone. When means during the Victorian age, there was very much turmoil and chaos in the European society, in the Europe, because of certain war happening, and there was also industrialization, urbanization happening, disturbing society and creating chaos. So because in that time the society needed poet writer like Wordsworth, but he has gone. Arnold described his era as iron time of doubt, dispute, distraction, fear. According to Arnold, Wordsworth gave relief to people when their soul became insensitive. So it was an age of industrialization, growing urbanization, breaking of a joint family, and an year of faith, losing of faith, because people were going towards science and they were leaving the religion. So this was an age of uncertainty, loss of faith, a rise of doubt. People were not trusting their own family member, or the increase in materialism. So in this kind of era, we needed a writer like Wordsworth, who would have inspired people to lead a simple life, to love nature, to go to nature for healing, to stay away from materialism, to um, seek pleasure in simple thing like flower, bird, or any other natural element. So he speak to Wordsworth had spoken to people's heart, and they cry their heart out. He brought back their childhood and its comfort, and brought smiles and calmness to the people. Anybody who read Wordsworth poem was very much spellbound by his writing, simplicity, his humbleness, and they used to love nature by his inspiration. So now, this stanza, fifth stanza, also describe Wordsworth as the highest priest of nature. We all know that Wordsworth is considered as a high priest of nature, and this is what Arnold has proved through this stanza. Not stanza sixth. The hills were round us, and the breeze went over the sunlit field again. Our foreheads felt the wind and rain. Our youth returned, for there was shed on spirits that had long been dead. Spirit dried up and closely furled, the freshness of the early world. So in this stanza, he's saying, Arnold is saying that when people read Wordsworth, they feel they are surrounded by natural setting in which hills are around them, and during sunny days, the breezes bring over the field. So, such was the writing of Wordsworth. Wordsworth has written basically about nature, about small thing of natures like daffodil, about bird and about women working in the field like solitary reapers. So, uh, in his poem, he used to paint the picture. He used to describe uh, the natural surrounding as if it is like a painting. As if when we read his poem, we feel that such a vision is in front of us. This was the greatness of William Wordsworth, that when any reader reads his poem, he or she feels that he is visualizing those things. So he's not only a poet, but he's like a painter in his. Uh, when we read his verses, we feel that he is a painter. Readers can feel the soft wind and enjoy the rain. The youth, he has written about his young age also, how he used to enjoy nature when he was young. So, readers feel that their youth, which they miss, come back to them with Wordsworth poetry. Arnold says that Wordsworth was the protecting shed who protect people from losing their soul, and then Wordsworth leaving this left the soul bare and led to his loss. With it, the freshen of the early world gone too. So, um, when any reader reads Wordsworth poem, he feel connected to nature. He feel, and if he is depressed, she is depressed, then he feel a little bit freshness in his mind by reading his poem. Such was the intensity of Wordsworth's poem. So now stanza 7. Ah, since dark days still bring to light man's prudence and man's fairy might, times may restore us in his course. Uh, Goethe's sage mind and Byron's face. But where will Europe's later art again find Wordsworth healing power? Others will teach her how to dare, and against fear our breast to steel. Other will strengthen us to bear. But who ah, who will make us feel the cloud of mortal destiny? Other will front in fearlessly, but who like him will put it by? So this stanza is also about the greatness of Wordsworth as Arnold feel. But this is not only the feeling of Arnold, but it is also a feeling of many other readers or scholars who love Arnold's, who love Wordsworth poetry, or who love Wordsworth as a poet. So he's saying now that mankind can cope up in its course without Goethe sage mind and Byron passion. Means they both are great. Like Goethe has a sage mind and Byron has a passion, and people miss these two poets a lot. Like the philosophical attitude of Byron and passionate attitude of Byron. But the future generation, people of Europe, will crave again for Wordsworth healing power. Such was the intensity of writing of Wordsworth, because uh, he his poem makes her feel heal. If we are in any trauma, we are have some kind of uh, some kind of ailment also, we can, and if we can read his poem, we can feel a little bit fresh, we can leave inspiration, we can feel motivated by reading his poem. So they can Wordsworth poem can give healing power to the readers, or they can motivate readers to do uh, creative works in their life. So readers can learn to be mighty and strong, and learn to be more tolerant. Tolerant was one such virtue which nature teaches us, and this is what Wordsworth has depicted in his poem. He has shown the tolerant side of nature in his poem. So Arnold questions that who will make them feel like Wordsworth has made his reader, his So this is something which again describe Wordsworth as a high priest of nature. We all believe that Wordsworth is a high priest of nature. Now last stanza. Keep fresh the grass upon his grave, O Rotha, with thy living wave. Sing him thy best, for few are none. Here's their voice. Right, now he is gone. So, in the last stanza, Arnold urges a river of Rotha to keep the grass fresh upon Wordsworth's grave with its waves. So this is something which is like a tribute by Arnold to Wordsworth, and this also reflect how Arnold loves Wordsworth, how Arnold respected Wordsworth. He also tells the rivers to sing its best song to his grave, as very few people can hear its voice right, and now Wordsworth is gone from the world. So Arnold believed that by Wordsworth going, there is has become a void, a vacuum in the world of poetry, in the world of literature, which nobody can fill, because nobody can be like like Wordsworth. No, according to Arnold, Wordsworth is a high priest of nature, and through his poem, he has healed people. Through his poem, he has motivated people, and he has inspired, motivated people to lead a simple life, to be tolerant, and all these quality no other poet can possess in future, and no other poet can motivate the people in the same way as he has done. So, I will be reading a little bit criticism about this poem. Criticism in literature means judging. So, Memorial Verses by Mathew Arnold was published in April 1850, means he wrote it in 1850. It is a prominent Victorian elegy written upon the death of William Wordsworth. It evaluates the distinct cultural and emotional contribution of three romantic giants, Byron, Goethe, and Wordsworth. Byron and Wordsworth belonged to England, but Goethe belonged to Germany. But they all belonged to the same age, and they all were romantic. But Byron and Goethe were already dead, and Wordsworth died a little later. So, while expressing anxiety about poetry, future in an increasingly mechanical, materialistic age. So, in the Victorian age, people were becoming mechanical, materialistic. So, he wanted these poets uh, to come again, or he was missing these poets, because in the age of materialism, mechanical attitude of people, increasing mechanical materialism, and this kind of attitude, we need poet and writer like Wordsworth, Goethe, and Byron. So the poem structure focuses on distinct literary legacy of the three poets, like Lord Byron. Arnold portray Byron as a symbol of fiery, titanic passion. Though Byron taught us little, his emotional struggle with eternal law deeply resonated with the human soul, and he was considered as a passionate poet who was very much famous in his lifetime for his passion, for his lifestyle. Then he talks about Goethe, who is his full name is Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Arnold praises Goethe as Europe's sagest head, means of all the sages present in the Europe, he is the head of all, means he is the greatest sage of Europe, and a physician of the Iron Age who possesses the analytical clarity to identify and diagnose the spiritual ailment of modern society. Then he's focusing on the main poet, and that is William Wordsworth. Though he has given tribute to all the three, Byron and Goethe, but he's focused more on William Wordsworth. So it is an elegy focusing on three poet, Byron, Goethe, and but mainly on Wordsworth. So the central focus on poem is Wordsworth, whom Arnold credited with possessing a unique healing power, capable of reconnecting humanity with the freshness of the natural world and loosening our heart in tears. Arnold lamented that while future generation may produce poet who can teach dare and bear burden, but nobody can replace Wordsworth, and Wordsworth's irreplaceable gift was his profound ability to make modern humanity feel. He had inspired materialistic, mechanical people to be simple and humble. So this poem is divided into three parts, and that is we can see the context, rhyme, uh, scheme, and the rhetorical devices. And we also can see the comparison between Byron, Goethe, and Wordsworth. So like there are some annotation also, like Goethe in Weimar sleep, which means Goethe died in Weimar, Germany. uh, Byron's struggle ceased. Lord Byron's strife ended with his death in 1824 in Greece. Byron also died. Byron died in Greece, and he had a very life full of struggle. And so his struggle ended with his death in 1824. Byron died in 1824, and Wordsworth in 1850. So there was a 26-year gap between them. Then the last poetic voice is dumb. This refers to the death of the great poet William Wordsworth in 1850. Then had felt him like the thunder roll. The poet here is comparing Byron's fairy words to the sound of thunder. Means he thinks that Byron had a fierce quality, and that fairiness can only be compared by thunder. Then there is a line of passion with eternal law. This is the Byronic hero struggle between love and duty. So throughout his life, Byron has struggled between love and duty. Then Titanic strife, uh, which means a struggle of great magnitude. Titanic is a metaphorical representation for huge or giant thing. Europe sages hest means he was the head of all the sages, means the wisest man of Europe. Then physician of the Iron Age, Goethe has been compared to a doctor who could clearly see the suffering of the people. Then thou ailest here and here. It means that Goethe could pinpoint various causes of suffering and still has the truth take refuge there. This means Goethe was of opinion that art contained truth and could help mankind. Our pale ghost rejoice hate. Wordsworth is now in the world of the dead. In Greek mythology, the world of the dead named after his ruler. So, English poet have uh, taken reference from Greek mythology. So, whenever they take anybody takes reference from Greek mythology, then that is called Hellenism. Uh, had fallen on the iron time means had suffered to during this difficult time. Then Wordsworth healing power, which means the soothing touch which is apparent in his poem. We can see how Wordsworth has healed people by writing simple humble poem and uh, asking people to take refuge in nature. Rotha, why this living wave? River Rotha, beside which Wordsworth lies buried. So, River Rotha is a river where Wordsworth was buried and where it is his grave. So, uh, I hope this much is clear. Or if anybody wish, I would like to. I would make. These explanation, I would make a video of explaining this in Hindi also, because we live in Hindi belt and most of the student are um, Hindi educated. Their English is not so good, so I hope this is clear. Saloni, have you understood the poem? Saloni, have you understood the poem? Can you write yes or no? So I hope it is clear. I will be taking the poem in Hindi as well in future.